Okay, still the 18th, and I was going to pick up with Carolyn. Let me move this so I can see it a little bit better. Yeah, that's cool. Okay, my next wife was Carolyn, and in the situation, and again, I'm just doing this to explain my side of the story. People don't like it, turn it off. Turn it off. I had the 5 kids alone when Janet and I got divorced. And I was a little desperate. I mean, I was trying to work clear down in Orange County from Ojai. It's an hour down there and an hour back, and I had 5 kids in school and in daycare centers, and it was tough. So I think it's the hardest job I ever did was to be a single parent. And I think I was pretty much more desperate for a wife. Not because of someone I needed to love or I was lonely, but I really needed a mother and a companion to help share those kids. And so Monica came home one day from the park and said that she met a girl named Leanna. And Leanna had a mother who was a registered nurse. Hey, registered nurse, that's kind of what I need. So anyway, I dated Carolyn, her mother, a little bit, and there were periods of time where Carolyn disappeared. I didn't know where she was. She never said anything, but it would be 2 to 5 days and I wouldn't be able to contact her or see her. And we finally decided to get married, and my mind's blank. I can't even think why I married her. It's kind of a negative part of my life, and I think I'm having some, purposeful blocks of memory, because it's in some ways there's some pain in that relationship. But anyway, we got married, and soon after the marriage, she said we ought to basically get a house in Kansas. And I thought, well, why? Because she said we can buy a whole house there for $400. Hey, that's a good idea. 3-bedroom house and a bath, 2-story, $400. Let's do it. So I sent her off to Kansas to tie up the sale of the house and to get ready for us to move in. And then I gave notice at my job and picked up the 5 kids plus Leanna. So now I had 6 kids, I guess, in the front of a U-Haul pickup truck, and drove all the way to Kansas. And I was towing my Chevette, my only car, behind the U-Haul truck. Well, I pulled in the driveway, and the kids jumped out, and we were all excited to be there and hoping Carolyn got the house kind of furniture and cleared out. And I had a lot of the furniture and my whole household, all the sheets, towels, pillowcases, dishes, the whole 9 yards. And we went in the house, and Carolyn knew we were coming. It's not like it was a surprise. I think we called her, and I found my wife, Carolyn, sitting on the kitchen counter, naked from the waist up, painted green. I thought that maybe someone else had done that to her. I was hoping someone else had done that to her, but that wasn't true. She had painted herself, and she was wearing a Bowie knife, big bladed Bowie knife on her belt. And I found out that the time that she was disappearing in California, she was in a mental institution. Now, I was desperate. I would marry mental patients, and God knows I have. If there is a God, He knows I have. But we had, I sent the kids out of the room, of course, and then we had some conversation about why she's painted green. And I've worked in mental institutions, and I've certainly spoken to schizophrenic and delusional people. And so I had experience. There were 2 or 3 serious situations that came up there. I laugh a little bit about them now, but in some ways they're very sad. In some ways they're very sad. You know, I don't want to make fun of mentally ill people because I'm mentally ill and I don't want to be made fun of, but Carolyn, we went to bed that night and she wouldn't take the green paint off, and that was, I'm not going to say it's like whipped cream, but you know, when your wife is dressed and painted green, that's kind of weird. And then we had to maneuver around the Bowie knife because she wasn't going to take that off. And she kept saying, and I had to sleep basically with one eye open because I wasn't quite sure, you know, if she was more than one brick short of a load or the whole load fell off on the road. So she kept telling me there were werewolves and men and ghosts and goblins, whatever, out on the roof. That she's seen them and that she's talked to them. Well, I was beginning to believe that she has seen them and talked to them, and she needed that knife to defend herself. So I didn't get much sleep that night, and the next day she said, we have to go somewhere, and I said, okay. So we got in her car. My car wasn't even undone from the trailer yet, the truck, and she drove me to this old farmhouse. It was deserted and abandoned. We went in. She took me upstairs to the the bathroom upstairs, and we both went into the bathroom there, and she shut the door, and then she leaned against the door, and I could see she was blocking me from leaving the room. And she says, there's something that I need to tell you. And of course, being a counselor, I've heard it all, but I never heard this one. I said, okay, what is it? She said, well, I'm pregnant. I said, well, I've heard that before. God knows. The atheist God knows. I've heard that before. And I said, well, that's good. You know, it'd be nice to have a baby and whatever. She says, but I'm pregnant with the baby Jesus. And I go, oh. Did the Holy Ghost come down? God damn. I'm locked now in this bathroom, and this girl is telling me she's pregnant with by the Holy Ghost, and the child inside of her is Jesus. And I used all my education, all my experience, not to just say, what the you know. But I was in there, and she had the knife still on her, so I said, okay. Well, we had a little chat about it, and I finally got out of the bathroom there, and I thought to myself, good grief, you know, this has gone from bad to worse. And so we have to go downtown again. Okay, so we went to the downtown Hiawatha. That's where it was, Hiawatha, Kansas. And we were driving her car, and I was driving. And now, you know, this is hard to explain because, you know, I don't, these days, I don't know what I heard or what I saw. I know what I thought I heard and saw back in those days. But anyway, I'll just give you the facts. We're driving back from Hiawatha back to our house, and she starts screaming and acting totally goofy. I mean, it was a bucket seat car, and she was almost pulling the car off the road and trying to shift it, and I'm going 60 miles an hour down a 2-lane road, and I could see there's going to be a wreck or some danger. And so I started to yell at her, and I said, you know, knock it off. I said, you're going to kill me. And the voice that came out of her was not a voice I'd ever heard before, and it was not Carolyn's voice. And the voice said, that's exactly what we're going to do. I didn't think that was a piece of good news. So I pulled the car over to the side of the road, and I said, well, you can go ahead and drive. Why don't you get out and come over and drive? Well, she got out, and boy, as soon as she shut the door, I locked the door, and I drove the car off. And I left her standing on the side of the highway. I drove immediately home and picked up the 6 kids and unhooked my car from the U-Haul. Left everything. Thousands and thousands of dollars worth of furniture and whatever. I put the kids in my car, and we started off on a dirt road driving out of there because I was thinking she was going to be a danger to herself, certainly, and to other people, and I needed to take care of the kids. Leanna only went about a mile or so with us and said, gee, I really think I better stay with my mom. I understand her. I let Leanna out of the car, and she went back to take care of Carolyn, I guess. And then I got over the state line, and I called back to the house, and the sheriff's department answered my phone in my house, and I told him who I was, and I said, you know, what's going on? And he said, well, your wife ran across the street and threatened your brother with a knife to kill him. And I said, well, do I need to come back there? And he said, well, I'm going to tell you something. You know, if I was you, I'd keep going. I said, this girl is mentally ill. We're taking her down to a mental hospital, and it appears that she is out of it. So anyway, I hung up, and I drove the kids all the way back to California on Monica's paper route money, and moved into a house there in California in Thousand Oaks. But I did get a call from the psychiatrist at the hospital, and he said to me, you know, your wife is pregnant. He confirmed that. So I asked him too, do you think I should come back? And he says no. She's so far out of it that you coming back is going to do nothing. So anyway, let me take a break here, and then I'll start again so that we get this whole thing put together.